You could have avoided nearly all of your terrible relationships by understanding what red flags to look out for in women. Dating a new girl is like buying a second-hand car. If you don't know what to look out for when you're making the purchase, shortly after buying the car, you will be greeted by a host of problems. However, if you do understand what red flags to look out for in the initial stages of the relationship, this will be the equivalent of an experienced mechanic inspecting under the hood, knowing exactly what problems to look out for, so you can avoid any unwanted surprises down the line. In this video, I'm going to cover 21 red flags. Some of these you may have heard of before. There are a lot in here that I can guarantee that you haven't heard of, and they are vitally important because making the wrong decision when choosing a partner can be catastrophic. I'm sure you've seen this with your family, I'm sure you've seen this with friends, and you've even seen public displays where relationships have crashed and burned in a glorious fashion. This decision is extremely important. Let's get into it. Before we do, I've given some of these interesting names to make it more entertaining for me, also to make it more entertaining for you, and also so that you don't forget them. Let's get into it. I call this the OJ Simpson, which is never taking responsibility. A huge red flag when you start dating someone is that she never takes responsibility. It's always someone else's fault. If she was late, it was traffic. If she blows up at you, it was because you pushed her buttons. If her past relationships have ended badly, it's because every single one of her exes was toxic. Here's the truth. If she can't take responsibility, she cannot grow. And if she cannot grow, every problem in the relationship is gonna end up being your fault. But the opposite to this is obviously if she does take responsibility, and that is a massive green flag. If after an argument, she can come to you and say, look, I admit, hold my hands up, I was wrong about that. That is a great sign that she has self-awareness and she's willing to grow. Next, I call this the Bonnie Blue. And what this means is just having a high body count. Obviously, that's an extreme example, but a woman's past matters because it influences her ability to bond in the future. If she's been with a lot of men, every time she gets intimate, she breaks that connection and it becomes harder for her to create a better connection in the future. It's like sticky tape. The first time you pull it off and you stick it to the wall, it has a lot of stick. And you do that 10 times, it loses its stick. A lower partner count is equal to stronger pair bonding, higher marital stability, and more satisfaction. A high partner count is equal to a weaker pair bonding, higher dissatisfaction, and greater risk of divorce. Next point, not a good relationship with her father. The very first relationship that a woman has with a man is the relationship that she has with her father, and that sets the stage for all future relationships. If it was loving, peaceful, calm, supporting, she'll usually carry that sense of safety into future relationships. If it was turbulent, neglectful, abusive, that leaves deep scars. And whether she's conscious of this or not, she'll repeat those same patterns in future relationships. And listen to this, and this is extremely important. She'll do this by either attracting men who have the same behaviors as her father, or by behaving in ways that create the same chaos. And this is not because it's comfortable, this is because it's familiar, even when it's dysfunctional. Next point, which is looking for attention from other men. This is probably one of the biggest red flags that spells disaster later on in the relationship. This can show up in a few different ways. Posting provocative pictures online, dressing provocatively when she goes out, and actually looking for attention from other men by trying to make eye contact with them. Now, there's nothing wrong with women looking confident, putting effort into their image, and feeling good about that. But the problem arises when their sense of self, their sense of validation is derived from the attention of other men. And what this signals is, firstly, disaster down the road, right? Obviously. And it also conveys that she hasn't developed a secure sense of self. This is not someone that you want to be dating. The next is gaslighting. And what this means is just blatantly lying and then blaming you and making you question your own sense of reality. Example of this would just be saying that she didn't do things that she clearly did. You have to be hypervigilant of this. If you start seeing signs of gaslighting, you know something has happened, but the girl just completely denies it, massive red flag. Get the fuck out of there. Next on the list, we have woke Wendy. Now, this is the feminist. I'm not talking about equality and women's rights. I believe that women should have the same rights as men and all of that. What I'm talking about is feminism, which has taken a different stance in recent times. And it's this idea that men are the source of all evil. If a woman constantly complains that men are the oppressors, she speaks about toxic masculinity, and the whole dynamic of the relationship is a competition to see who has more power or not, red flag, get out of there. Next point, loads of guy friends. We all know what men want. This is a big no-no. Those are not friends. Those are orbiters waiting to pounce, especially if the girl is attractive. Men need to understand that women run circles around men when it comes to understanding the social dynamics between men and women. She knows the gig, she knows why they're there, and if she keeps on hanging out with loads of male friends, then she's just not that committed to you. Now, obviously, there is the exception where maybe she has a few childhood friends that she's literally known from when she was a kid, right? Those are the exceptions. But for the most part, if a woman is constantly hanging around loads of males, get out of there, because something is going to happen sooner or later. The next one, and I call this the vampire. This is the energy test, and hardly anyone ever speaks about this. What people speak about when it comes to understanding whether that girl is the right girl for you, you know, she's got the right green flags, she hasn't got the red flags. On paper, everything can look good. And now this sounds probably a little bit hippie, but what does it feel like when you spend time with her? Do you feel like you're energized after spending time with that girl? Or does it feel like she sucked the energy out of you like an energy vampire? This is our gut telling us that we gel with this person or we don't gel with this person, and we need to listen to that. Do you feel good after spending time with her? Let me explain this, because I haven't heard other people speaking about this point in this specific context. The girl you choose will be your heaven and hell. And what I mean by this is spending time with her will feel incredible. You'll have a good connection with her. You know, the emotions will be going off in your stomach. You'll have butterflies. You have the same values as her. You have the same humor as her. You've got great sexual chemistry. Everything goes well. But she will also drive you insane. And most of the time, you are attracted to that because of the unhealed trauma that you have from your childhood. And therefore, it just feels right. But at the same time, she has an incredible ability to trigger you like no one else. If there's one person who can flip your switch, it will be the girl that you're dating. This means she will draw the best out of you, but she will also draw the worst out of you, and you will do the same for her. But if she is not willing to grow, and you are not willing to grow, and you're not willing to meet each other halfway, that relationship will end in flames, because it's not the good times that determine the success of the relationship. It's how you manage the bad times. The next point, Hiroshima Hannah. What is this? Love bombing. What is love bombing? It's an extreme display of affection, attention, really giving all of your focus to that one person, speaking about the future, and then going cold. This is an extremely manipulative tactic, and it works with everyone. It's extremely powerful, and if a girl is doing this, especially at the beginning of a relationship, I can guarantee that she will do it later on in the relationship. So if you see subtle signs of this taking place when you're going out and you're dating in the initial stages, run for the hills, because I've seen this with clients and it never ends well. They have extremely strong bonds to these women, or so they think, and because of emotional immaturity on their side, for one reason or another, maybe they've had a scarred past when it comes to intimacy and relationships, they will end up leaving you high and dry, and they'll be on to the next person, leaving you with nothing. The next point is called the Britney Spears, which is the party girl. She goes out excessively to clubs and bars with her friends. This means one thing and one thing only. It means that she's not serious about having a relationship with you. And even if she is serious about having a relationship with anyone, and she still has this type of behavior, it's not the type of girl that you want. The main reason girls go out to bars is not to dance and have fun. It's not that. That's absolute nonsense. It's for male attention, period. If she's going out to bars and clubs, it means that she wants that attention, and that means that she's not that committed to you. In that, this one is a goodie, and I've never heard anyone speak about this, and this is such a determinant of whether your relationship is going to end in flames or not. And that is, do her friends cheat on their partners? Humans are products of their environment. I'm sure you've heard the saying, we are the average of the 5 people we hang around, and that is especially true with women and their friends. And if their friends are partaking in a certain type of behavior, she will, sooner or later. And the reason I say this is because I've seen this with clients time and time again. They always say to me, she ended up sleeping with someone else. And I ask them this question, what are her friends like? And they always say, oh, you know, friends are quite nice, they're quite fun, but, you know, they've slept around here and there. And that's always the case. And in their mind, they always thought in the moment, no, she's different. She has a good set of values. But like I said before, woman, and people, human, everyone, they are products of their environment. Avoid that. Just avoid that like the plague. The next point is what I call the Deborah Doughnut. And what this means is that she's not into exercising or fitness. The reason this is so important is that physical attraction forms the core of your relationship. That's why every single relationship starts, is because you see a girl and you think, she's attractive, I'm gonna go talk to her, and then everything else follows from that. Do your values align? Does she like the same things that you like? Has she got a good energy? Has she got good morals? And so on and so forth. If she's not into fitness and health, her beauty will fade very quickly, and so will the spark in the relationship and the relationship itself. And here's a deeper point. If she stops looking after herself, that's not just laziness. That is the biggest form of disrespect that you could have for your partner. If I got grossly out of shape, I would expect my girl to leave me. And if the shoe was on the other foot, I would leave as well. If she doesn't respect her own body, she won't respect you either. The helicopter. This is overly jealous. A little bit of jealousy is completely normal in any relationship, but when it's constant and it's extreme, that is a massive red flag. And here's the twist. Extreme jealousy, when she's blaming you for things for no reason, often that is projection. She's projecting what she's doing in the background. And I've seen this with myself in past relationships, and I've also seen this with loads of clients. If she's accusing you of cheating when you've given her no reason, it's usually her own guilty conscience that's talking. The next point, the negative Nancy. We have such a finite time on this planet. We're born, we open our eyes, we experience a brief moment of consciousness, we close our eyes, and it's done forever. We don't want to be spending it with someone who's always just seeing the negative in every situation, because there is always a positive and there's always a negative to every situation. You can't build a happy future with someone who refuses to be happy in the present. And if you notice that the person that you're with is just constantly complaining, they're negative about everything, they're not seeing the positive in anything, get rid of them. You're not going to change them. And this is the biggest thing. You're not going to change them. They will stay in every moment with their negativity, and you being the savior or the hopeful one thinks that they'll change. They're not going to change. Next we have, this is drama queen. Drama queens are attracted to drama like flies are to a steaming pile of shit. There's always drama, and it's never their fault. And the reason for this is because a lot of people derive a sense of self from the drama, and therefore they're either looking for it or they're creating it through their actions. I'm sure you've got that one friend who's just, there's always drama, and it's always them, right? You don't know why. You think, how is the world just giving that one specific person drama, right? And it's because of this. They're looking for it or they're creating it through their actions. If that's the girl that you are dating, next we have the Amy Winehouse. Now, what does this mean? Having any addiction of any form. If she has any addictions, there are no excuses, right? Go on to the next. Now, a lot of men want to play this role of savior in the woman's life. It's never worth it, because you will end up going down with that ship. It's a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. And it just so happens that if you stick around, you will be next to that bomb when it does finally explode. Bear with me here, we're nearly done. And the last few are some of the most important ones. The next point is that she doesn't support your goals. The woman that you choose to be with is supposed to be a valuable member to the team that you create. She's supposed to follow you, she's supposed to support you, and she's supposed to be your biggest cheerleader. And her not supporting you when you're striving for your goals is going to torpedo your success. So how does this show up in a relationship? Shows up with her making jokes about your business ideas, rolling her eyes when you talk about your future plans, downplaying your wins, mocking your discipline, comparing you to others, complaining about the sacrifices, and using guilt to control you. If she mocks your vision instead of supporting it, she's not your partner, she is your obstacle. The next one is the man hater. And there are still some of these around, especially in the Anglosphere, but what you'll notice with man haters is that there's just this undercurrent of hate and negativity towards men for one reason or another. She'll use phrases like men are oppressors. You'll start hearing things like toxic masculinity, and there'll just be this undercurrent of negativity towards you. End it. Just get out of there. The next point is no long-term female friends. Birds of a feather flock together. Good woman, hang around good woman. If every single female relationship that she has ends in lying, deceit, betrayal, or drama, and it's never her fault, it's always someone else's fault, there's normally a common denominator, a common thread that runs through all of those stories, and it's her. And what that usually means is that there's a struggle there with accountability, respecting other people's boundaries, and loyalty. Final point, bear with me here. Every single ex is the bad guy. Now, I understand if there was something particularly bad that happened in the past and she harbors some form of resentment towards that person, absolutely fine. But if every single ex is a narcissist, a liar, abusive, the common thread that runs through all of those stories is her. And this is going to spell disaster for the many previous points that we've discussed throughout this list in your current relationship. And at the end of it, you are going to be the next evil ex, and it was all your fault. That is the final list, the 21 red flags that you have to look out for in women if you want to have a successful relationship, what to weed out and what to actually keep in your holy garden when it comes to dating. Life is too short to spend it on people that don't help us, on people that aren't valuable, on people that don't move us towards our goals. And a lot of guys stay in relationships because they are short of options. They think that they haven't got choice when it comes to dating. There are 4.1 billion, not million, 4.1 billion women on the planet. You have other options. You have other choices. If someone is not living up to your standards, cut them out. And once you find that special girl, the next part of the equation is actually keeping her and maintaining attraction. And that's where the game begins. A lot of guys think it begins finding the girl. The game actually begins keeping the girl and maintaining that relationship. And if you don't understand that, your relationships will not be successful. And that is why I created a whole video outlining exactly what to do. You can click on it here. It's going to be on the screen. If you want to discuss any of these points that I've gone over today, book a call with the link below, and I will be in contact with you. See you in the next video.